Hi, this is a video for the Newcastle Managing Emotions group and my name's Deborah. This is for session number 11, which covers the Interpersonal Effectiveness or Managing Relationships module, and this session on today's video is covers the Dear Man skill. Okay. This video will be accompanied by an email in which you'll get materials, the workbook that I've got with me here, and other materials, and you'll also get phone coaching, so you'll be able to speak over the phone with somebody about your experience of going through the exercises and the content of the video. Okay, to do the video today you'll need a pen and a piece of paper just to write things down and keep up with everything. Okay, so if we start by looking at the workbook for this week, it talks about the homework and the skills that you learnt last week in the Give Fast, and that would be something that we would go over on the phone. There's the same summary that was in the Give Fast of the skills that we're going to learn in Interpersonal Effectiveness. So Dear Man is skill number 1, and as I said last week, we've done it a bit back to front. So today we're doing the Dear Man skill, which is getting what you want, getting your objective, getting what you want. Okay, and obviously last week we did the Give Fast. So the first exercise on the bottom of page 2 looks at why we need this skill. Why do you need a skill to get what you want? Why is that important? And it talks in this bit about being pushy to get what you want. So sometimes that can be an effective way of getting what you want, but why is it important not to just get what you want because you're being pushy or maybe aggressive, but to get what you want because you're being effective? Okay, and that's what this exercise is looking at. So the question is, why is saying something in an unkind or unpleasant way unlikely to get you what you want? Okay, what I would like you to think about is if there's somebody who's spoken to you in an unpleasant or an aggressive way. So maybe there's somebody that you work with who barks orders at you and tells you what to do, or maybe somebody in you, a family member or a friend, who just tells you what to do and can be aggressive and pushy. And I'd like you to think about, well, do I like that? And what happens in my relationship with that person? Do I give a little bit more? Do I give a little bit less? Why is it important? What impact does it have, if people are unkind or unpleasant in the way in getting what they want? Okay, so that's the first exercise. So the next bit on page 3 goes through the Dear Man acronym, our latest and almost our last acronym for the whole of this 12-week course. Okay, so and getting what you want, or getting what you want out of your relationships, there are various kind of skills or elements of why it's important, or why it's what's involved in getting what you want. So it's about standing up for your rights in such a way that you're taken seriously, requesting others to do something for you, getting what you want, refusing what you don't want, so saying no and being able to stick to it. Okay, being able to resolve conflict. So the skills that we're learning today, and generally across the 3 weeks, last week and next week as well, it'll help you to have less arguments and disputes within your relationships that you've got. And they might be relationships, close, intimate relationships, perhaps in the family home, or your partner, but there might be relationships at work, or even your relationship with services. Okay. and getting your opinion or point of view to be taken seriously. And that's a really important point, because, you know, you might be right to be annoyed or upset about something, but if you are unable to put across what you're annoyed and upset about clearly, then people are less likely to take you seriously. So you might be really angry about something, and you might be right to be very angry about something, but people take you less seriously if you come across as angry, if you communicate as angry. So that's why it's important to use your emotional regulation skills that we've already learned, but also to use the interpersonal effectiveness or the managing emotion skills that we're covering over these weeks. Okay, so dear man, and what I'm going to do to go through Dear Man is to give you an example of a situation that you might be in. Okay, so my situation, if you think, so it's about getting what you want, getting your objective. So if we say my objective is I had paid for tickets for a friend of mine for an event, a beer festival that we both went to. I paid for the tickets. The event's been and gone. It was a couple of weeks ago, and my friend hasn't paid me back. Okay, so that's the situation. So what I want is to get my money back, basically. Okay. So if we think about that, we'll look at the dear man. So D is describe the situation. And the important thing with this is to not be blaming or judgmental in your description, but really, and again, if we think of those exercises that we've done previously, stick to the facts. So for my situation, it would be, we went to the festival, beer festival, 3 weeks ago. I paid for my ticket and your ticket as well. The ticket cost me £12. Okay? I would not say, well, you're trying to offload that buying tickets on me. You're trying to offload it and let me forget that, and hope that I'll forget that I paid for the tickets and you didn't. You know, but that isn't going to work. You know, you just so tight-fisted, you're trying to get out of paying for stuff. No, don't be judgmental, don't be blaming, just stick to the facts. I paid for it, it cost X amount of money. Okay, that's the description. That money was mine, not yours. So the next bit is E, express your feelings and opinions. So with my situation, it would be, and if you think about the I statements as they're described, so the talking about how you feel, what your experience of the situation. So with mine, you know, I lent you the money, and the feelings would be, I want my money back. Okay, so that would be around kind of the money thing. The expression would be, and I want my money back now. Okay, and then the next one, the A in Dear Man, is for assertiveness, and that is you know, making sure that you say what you want. So you describe the situation, express, I want my money back, and so I want you to give me my £12 back. Okay, now that describe, express, assert, it's important to make sure that you have the three elements, and my example there is quite a simple example, so it might be more complicated. An example of this is if you ask somebody to look after your cat. Okay, so that takes a little bit more explanation in terms of description. So I could say, well, I want you to look after my cat. Well, that's meaningless. What does that mean? So you would have to, if you think about the describe thing, you would have to say, so I would like you to feed my cat. That would mean that you would have to do it in the morning and at the night for 3 days while I'm on holiday. Okay, I'm going to drop my keys off on Saturday. The food's already there for them. Okay, so there might be situations where you need to really express things or describe things in a more in-depth way. than that. Okay, it depends on the situation. Mine's quite basic in that respect. Okay, so the next letter R for dear man on the sheet is down as reward the person for responding positively, but the other way, and it's sort of they're interchangeable, because sometimes I write reward and sometimes I write reinforce, and then basically the reward is to reinforce. So I think probably reward describes it the best, but it makes it sound like you're giving them something. You know, you're not going to give them like a chocolate or a gold star, although that's an option, but that's not what, you know, that's not what we do as adults. But if you think about giving them something, now it doesn't necessarily mean like a material thing. You don't have to, you know, give them a cake, or, but you know, thinking about saying please, saying thank you, you know, about the situation with the money. You know, I could say, well, you know, I really like it that we can buy tickets for one another and help each other out like that, but I need my money back, and I can't carry on doing that if if you don't give me my £12 back. So I would really like, the reward is, I would really like to carry on us kind of helping each other out with tickets and money. Okay, that would be the reward. Okay, might be saying please, might be saying thank you. You know, might offer say, oh well, you know, when you know, thinking about the looking after my cat, and when you're away, I can look after your cat. Okay, so it's things like that, a reward like that. Okay, so then we're moving on to the man bit. So the M in man is, of course, mindful. Be mindful, because if in doubt with any acronym in DBT, and it's got an M in, let's just guess mindful, because you're probably right. For this acronym, it's the mindful elements of staying in the moment, okay, and really staying with that task. So if you think about mindfulness, it's about not getting distracted, not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, but just staying with that present moment. And it's really that element that we're talking about with the dear man skill. Okay, a way of remembering, or that's helpful in terms of being mindful, is using the broken record technique. So those of you who are old like me will remember vinyl records before they were vintage, when that's just what we had. And the broken record technique is you have a needle that goes on the record, and sometimes those needles would get caught on a scratch or something like that, and just play the same bit of the record over and over and over and over again. Okay, and that's essentially is the broken record technique. So it would be, in my scenario, it would be about me coming back going, yeah, I want you to give my money back, I want you to give it back to me. Okay, I want you to give me my £12 back. Okay, and the thing about the broken record techniques is that people can be very effective in kind of try to get you distracted or sidelined when in the response, or in their response to your request. Okay, to kind of avoid the situation potentially. Okay, for lots of different reasons, I'm sure. So a way, you know, somebody might say, you know, I'd say, well, I want my £12 back, and they might go, ooh, when we went to that beer festival, we had such a good time, didn't we? It was so nice, it was so much fun. And you would be, it was great, and I want my money back for the tickets now, please. They might actually not be so pleasant in how they're trying to sidetrack you. So, well, do you not remember when we went to that beer festival, you had a drink and you were a bit obnoxious, to be honest. And it's sort of to start attacking you, maybe about something that's an unrelated topic. And, you know, again, they might be right, they might not be right. But the point is, we're not talking about that. You know, you're not being sidetracked by that, no matter how truthful or untruthful it is, okay? We're sticking with this topic I want my £12 back. Okay, well, you know, I might have had a drink, or I might have, you know, not been so nice, but I'm talking about now, and I want my £12 back. Okay, so that's the M, be mindful. And the A in Dear Man is appear confident, okay? And this is highlighting the element of non-verbal communication, and we've talked in the previous video of how important non-verbal communication is in what you're saying. So it makes up a significant proportion of what we're saying is conveyed or put out there by how we look physically, as much as what we actually say. So we spend so much time thinking about what we actually say, but really it's how we look physically can really have an impact on what people hear, and whether they are able to kind of take on board our full communication. So an example of this is if I said to somebody, I want my £12 back. You know, we are already, you know, I'm not giving you eye contact, there's that kind of shoulder slump, that's that curled inwards. They possibly couldn't hear you properly because you're kind of not pointing your communication towards them. So if I was to do that, then that would indicate that there's a communication there that I don't really think that I'm going to get my money back. Okay, there's something about, you know, it's sort of almost already accepting that I'm not, you know, you're not saying it clearly, you know, and it's in a non-verbal way accepting that I'm not going to get my money back. Okay, so if you think about asking in a peer confidence, so that would be having an open shoulders, an open posture, giving eye contact, you know, kind of standing proud, being firm. You know, if you're standing up, having a nice firm kind of stance, you know, not being aggressive, not leaning in, but not at the same time not stepping back, you know, like shouting from miles away, I want me 12 quid back. No, you want to have, you know, a good amount of space, not being aggressive, you're not in somebody's face, and a nice kind of open posture. And think about those things that we've said about posture in the past, you know, like somebody who seems confident, yeah, you're going to give me my money back here, yeah. And that might be that posture. If it's something that you're aware of, that you struggle with, it might be something that you want to practice at home, maybe in the mirror, on your phone, to see how it looks if you for you if you have this more confident posture. And if you come up with the best posture in terms of confidence, just try and remember where your body is, and then when you're in this situation, go, oh, hang on a minute, Deb, get those shoulders back, remember to have eye contact, things like that. Okay, the last letter is the letter N, and that's for negotiate. Be willing to negotiate, offer alternative solutions. So depending on your situation, this might be something that you would come up with in the moment, or you know, it might be something that you think, well, what's really my bottom line? You know, they owe me the 12 quid, they never have any money, they're unlikely to give it to me today, but I might be quite happy if they gave me £6 today and promised to give me £6 next week. You know, what's my bottom line in this situation? So that might be something that what am I willing to negotiate? Now, with any good negotiation, you don't go in there with your first thing, you know, you go in there saying, I want my £12 back. But if after a little while, you know, they say, oh, I haven't got any money, you might think, well, I'm willing to negotiate that. Okay, so try and come up with alternatives, and they might come up with alternatives as well. You don't need to be the only person to come up with alternatives. They might say, can I give you £6 this week and some more money next week, or something like that, or okay, well, I'm going to pay for this for you, can we forget about it that way? Okay, so That's the Dear Man skills, as well as going through it on our video. I've got an extra video clip that I've found from YouTube that you can have a look at that goes through what Dear Man involves. Okay. So in the workbook, it talks about now's our chance to practice these skills. We're going to practice saying no and getting what you want. And we've included in the email some scenarios, and I'd like you to practice a couple of situations where you're asking for what you want and where you're saying no. So you could use the scenarios that have been sent with the email, or you might want to come up with your own situations in your own life. So it might be related to work, or maybe somebody at home or in the family, a situation with a shop that you've been in recently where you've had to take something back or something like that. Okay, so try and think about a situation where you're either saying no or getting what you want. Okay, and we'll practice that skill over the phone. Okay. So the next bit of the workbook is, because this is a 12-week group, so there'll be this video and just one more video after this. And so as we're drawing to a close, we're trying to cover all of the videos and all of the teachings and think about what we've learned. Okay, and that's something that we're going to do in the phone call, maybe this week and next week as well, just to have a look at it and have a look back over the skills and think about, you know, are the ones that I particularly stuck with or struggle with? Are there still questions that I have? How well can I remember the ones that I have covered? Because we've covered a lot. Okay. So if you think about the skills that we've learnt, I'd like you over for homework to get out your file or your workbook and go through the skills that we've learned over the past 11 weeks. So you haven't quite got the 12 just yet. So the first 4 weeks were distress tolerance skills. Okay, so they're crisis management skills. So even now you might want to go, right, crisis management skills, what do I remember? Any. Okay, just think about any crisis management skills. You know, 4 weeks ago when I very first started doing this course, what skills was I learning then, and how do I use them in my life? We then did 3 weeks of emotional regulation skills. Okay, and you remember we started it doing the inside out video. Some of them we were doing online at that point. So you might want to spend a little bit of time thinking about what emotional regulation skills, what ways were we talking about helping you to manage your emotions well. Okay, what techniques did we use? What ideas did we have about learning about your emotions and managing your emotions well? Okay. We then did 2 weeks of mindfulness, which both were online. Hey, well done you lot. How did we learn mindfulness, and what did we learn about mindfulness? And then these last 2 weeks and next week were interpersonal effectiveness. So I'd like you to go through the materials and really think about your learning, what you can remember, and perhaps what extra learning you might have. And that's something that we can talk together about on the phone, so that's part of your homework. And the last, or second to last, sorry, slide is thinking about the end of the group and the future, and where do you go from here. So again, over the phone, it might be useful to think in terms of your mental health. What are your current needs? Where are you at the moment? What are you struggling with? So as well as thinking about what we've learned over the last 11, 12 weeks, thinking about so perhaps what changes we've made, what improvements we've made, but thinking about maybe things that could be better or different. Okay. And also you might want to start thinking about, okay, if I think that thing could do with being changed, how am I going to change it? What's going to be the most helpful way for me? Okay, so there are 2 extra bits of homework. along with practicing dear man skills. So you'll be practicing them on the phone as part of the phone coaching, but also you can practice them in your everyday relationships, when you go to the shop, when you speak to people on the telephone, or maybe when you are talking to people in your family or at home with you. Okay, so that's the end of the session, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.